Acknowledging the folks here, the official roll call, and I will call the roll. Myself as chair, budget director Mark Cornell, vice chair, controller Kevin Hardwick, chairman of the legislature Sim Myers, here, majority leader John Gilmore, finance and management chair Michael Kashoyan, minority leader of the legislature John Mills, here, deputy county executive Lisa Shamara,
Here.
Department of Public Works Commissioner Bill Gary, Commissioner Dan Castle, here, Troy Schinzel, here, Jeremy Toth. I think we have a couple others that are arriving late.
Yeah.
We also have the controller here late. This, as you know, for those who've been a member of the Capital Projects Committee, is an introductory meeting. We will not be reviewing any proposals today, though there's a significant amount of information that has been provided in your packet of materials. I'm going to turn it over to our budget director, Mark Cornell, with a brief overview of the materials today, including in your packet a number of exhibits that go through our debt service history, the 5-year plan, the requests, and the proposed timeline. So, Mr. Director.
Thank you. First, for anyone who has not grabbed a capital project request book, they are in the blue bin right there. Please grab those as you leave. I will just briefly go over the several exhibits that were included in the packet. First is the copy of the public comment policy. This is what we adopted last year, so this is just the same item as last year for anyone, members of the public that may choose to attend either in person or remotely, if that were to happen. The second document is Exhibit B, and that is the capital projects request summary. This year, specifically, we had a total of 62 project requests for $188 million, $188.1 million of local share requested. These are shown in the exact same order that they appear in your booklet. The next document is the 5-year capital project request and approval comparison. This is just a comparison over the last several years, both of the number of projects and the dollar figure of projects that were both requested and approved from 2023, 24, 25, and 26 compared to the requests here for 2027, broken up by a department and total to kind of see where requests this year fit in line with requests and approvals for the prior years. The next document, which is the lengthiest of the documents, is for every project that is being requested for 2027, there is a review of similar capital projects that have been approved over the last several years, whether those funds have been bonded or PAYGO, also the other sources of funding. It would show the total amount that was available. It shows the amount that has been spent, which are the actual expenditures. And then the remaining is the combination of the committed dollars and the unexpended at this point. So that's the one thing I would make note of is it is adding the committed dollars in with remaining, because at least for the, in my mind, the sake of this exercise, committed funding that has been unspent is the same thing as unallocated funding. But this will go and show the various projects that are similar over the last several years. In some instances, there are no similar projects, so that is also so noted in that document. Then from there, we have a copy of, as Exhibit E, we have a copy of the 2026 final program. That is shown first is the table of bonded projects that were included in the consolidated bond resolution approved by the legislature recently that we are working towards bonding for this summer. And then the second part of the table is the pay-as-you-go projects, which were authorized as part of the 2026 adopted budget and funded from that. Then from there, there are two documents related to debt and debt service. Exhibit F, that is the future-looking debt service for the next 10 years, starting with 2027. These are estimated values. Now, the existing debt service is the actual amount that we have on the books right now. The number that is in italics, the 5.9 million, that is an estimated debt service for the entire 2026 program based on prior year sort of debt service ratios. This number will be updated probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks as we move forward with our bonding and get initial cash flows from our underwriters and financial advisors as we're moving forward with that process. But this is probably a reasonable estimate. It is showing then what the debt service, annual debt service on the books then going forward with that into account, how that related to the prior year, and then what that is in relation to what our 10-year average debt service was, which is the period between 2017 and 2026, is 57.5 million has been the average. The maximum amount of debt service we've had in that 10-year period was in 2017, which was 67.9. I also included an inflationary factor to try and right-size that number to what the value would be in 2026. So that average debt service from that period was really equivalent to approximately 78.2 million. And that 10-year number of 67.9 was really equivalent to about $92.3 million. Next is all of the prior debt service dating back to 2010 and sort of how that 10-year average was developed. And then after that is the copy of all of the actual debt. So that is principal only that have been taken on each year and retired each year, starting with 2012 through to where we are in 2026. However, that is still an estimated number because we do not have a final number for the new debt that will be issued in 2026. Lastly, we have our Exhibit H, which is the schedule of meetings for the 2027 Capital Projects Committee with right now who is scheduled to present at each of those meetings and how many projects that they each have. This year, because of some difficulties with scheduling, we did have to move to Mondays to keep a consistent day. And that made the schedule not work as well as I think we've had in prior years, but I think we have a pretty good schedule here that is going to make sure that meetings are able to stay within that 1.5 hour time range. And then should we have any unforeseen issues or required callbacks, we do have 2, if necessary, dates, which would either be July 27th and August 3rd with a final vote date of August 10th. That would be a particular date where if there are any members of the committee that are unavailable for August 10th, I would ask that everybody let me know because that's going to be the big date where we need to make sure we meet our quorum of 7 individuals. That this is an item that is a tentative schedule right now, and we will need to take a vote on that to approve the schedule. I will confirm then with all of the presenters, and then we will plan to see highways back on June 22nd. With that, I'll ask if anyone has any questions about any of these exhibits in particular. Of course, as we are going through the committee in the coming weeks, you can ask any questions, that you may have about this information at that time also.
Thank you, Mr. Director. I will open up a couple questions myself. First, the date at which this has to be approved, is that a charter requirement?
Yes, that is August 15th, per the charter.
So I thought we must get this completed by August 15th, no matter what. With regards to the outstanding debt, I'm not certain if you could answer this or the controller could answer this. Where are we as a percentage of our overall debt limit?
That would be something I can absolutely get back to you. I would say, based on this and our debt limit, this is only a fraction of it. I can come up with the exact number. I will follow up with that.
I think the debt limit is what, 7%, is it? 7% of average full value, right? Taxable full value.
Yeah, so
By the
it's,
Constitution.
it's probably,
How much full value taxable have we got? Is it-
that would be another number I would have to, look back at, to confirm exactly. I would want to set those.
Dr. Callan is on. Dr. Callan, do you have any financial statement from last year? Most recent one, handy to take a look at off of that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft POS for the bond sale for that chart right now. I want to say our debt limit is 6 billion. You want the percentage of how, well, I mean, our debt limit, 7% of average full valuation is $6.02 billion. And our total debt at year-end 25 was way below that. It was 385.6 million. So percentage of debt contracting power exhausted 6.41.
So we have $5.5 billion to go.
When I thought $188 million in request was a lot.
Yeah.
I know reviewing the requests that there are no outside agencies, and this was a deliberate statement because of what we believe to be a difficult financial year based on the county requests.
Yeah, it was, generally speaking, looking at the amount of requests that we have received, countywide, and obviously we have not been able to accommodate all of those requests that, at least going into 2027, it made sense to limit this to, county facilities only this year.
So that includes the library and community college.
Correct, because, well, I mean, we, at least with the central library, but in fact, both of that.
Are there any questions from others here? Hearing none, we do have to approve the proposed calendar, which is included in your packet of materials as Exhibit H. So we would be, just go through it quickly, we take a 1 week break, then we are back to do Public Works Highways, which there's 25 proposed projects. 1 week later, we do the second presentation and so on. There is built-in time for callbacks if needed. So it's your intention, Mark, to have the final vote on the 10th or potentially on August 3rd?
It would be the intention on the 10th. However, I think as this process is going, if there are no need for callbacks or additional presentations, we could do it as early as the 3rd.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed schedule as presented on Exhibit H.
I'll make it.
A motion from Controller Hardwick. We have a second from our Legislative Chair, Tim Myers. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. With that, if there are no additional questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. A motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hardwick. All in favor?
Aye.
Absolutely. If you have not met Aislinn McQueen, she is taking over the role that Natalie Litzy had previously, with regards to reporting capital projects committee meeting minutes, as well as other information during the session. So say hi, Aislinn.
Hi, everyone.
All right, everyone, thank you. In a couple weeks.
Oh.